They say the dead do not speak, but that is only because the living no longer listen. Long ago, in a time before the world was divided by fences and flags, when the rivers still remembered the names of those who bathed in them, there was a kingdom called Oru. Nestled between the great river Onwu and the emerald hills of Ndu, Oru was a land of mystery, beauty, and blood. The people of Oru feared one thing above all else: the talking skull. It was not a myth, not a ghost story to scare children. No, it was real. And the elders swore on their ancestors' bones that the day anyone heard it speak, a village would weep. But as with all things forbidden, the legend drew curiosity, like flies to palm wine. Some claimed to have seen it deep in the forest of echoes. Others said it rolled freely at night, mumbling the names of the damned. But none dared touch it. None except Ifunanya, the chief's daughter. This is her story. The story of a girl born with eyes like fire and a soul carved from storm clouds. The story of how her beauty brought kings to their knees, but her disobedience awoke the dead. And it all began on the night of the blood moon. Oru was a land of harmony. Drums ruled the morning, and stories ruled the night. At dawn, the farmers sang praises to Allah, the earth goddess, and at dusk, the griots told tales beneath the sacred Irako tree. Chief Obi ruled Oru not just with wisdom, but with love. His people adored him. Tall, broad-shouldered, and wrapped always in a leopard skin cloak, he was a man of few words, but each one struck like a gong. His compound was the largest in the kingdom, surrounded by red mud walls, carved doors, and guards with spears made of lion bone. But among all his riches, his most treasured possession was his only daughter, Ifunanya. Her name meant love. But love was not what people felt when she passed. No, what they felt was awe. With skin the color of polished ebony and hair thick as the night, Ifunanya walked like she knew the ground was lucky to carry her. Boys stumbled over themselves when she looked their way. Girls painted their faces trying to mimic her magic. Yet Ifunanya was no ordinary girl. She could recite every lineage in Oru. She could wrestle boys twice her size. She was educated by the palace scribes and trained in the art of war by her uncle, General Dyke. But most importantly, she was stubborn. Where her father said, "Wait," she heard "Go." Where her mother said, "Obey," she thought, "Why?" And so, when the chief told her one morning never to enter the forest of echoes, she immediately began to wonder what lay inside. "It is cursed," said her mother, Adiz. "It is haunted," said the elders. "Only fools walk into the belly of a snake," said the griot. But none of that mattered, because Ifunanya had already dreamed of it. In her dream, a skull had called her by name. The forest of echoes stretched beyond the eastern hill like a giant green wave. Thick vines drooped like spider webs. The air was damp, and every path was covered in red moss. Birds never chirped there. The sun rarely shone. The forest had swallowed many things: hunters, children, secrets. According to legend, it was once a village, long forgotten, buried by curses and trees. The spirits there did not sleep. They whispered, they mocked, and most terrifying of all, they remembered. Ifunanya's dream kept returning. Each night, the same vision: a skull, white as bone ash, eyes hollow but glowing. Its jaw moved without sound until the third night. That night it spoke. "Come. They have lied to you. Your blood carries what they fear." She woke with a scream. It was no ordinary nightmare, no shadowy illusion. She felt it in her bones, a calling, ancient and real. So she prepared. Wrapped in her hunter's cloth, she strapped a knife to her thigh, placed a small calabash of water in her satchel, and stole away before the rooster crowed. Not even the guards saw her slip past the compound walls. She crossed the village square, past the ancestral shrine, and made her way toward the forest, where fog danced at the edge like spirits waiting to greet her. As she stepped into the shadows of the trees, a wind blew backward, against her back, not her face. A warning, but Ifunanya only smiled. "I came to hear you speak," she whispered. "So speak." She wandered for hours, but the forest made no path. The deeper she went, the more it twisted, like it was alive. Then she found it. Not the skull. Not yet. But the market. Not a market made by hands, no stalls, no sellers. It was a vision, a shimmer in the air. She stepped through, and suddenly, the trees parted into a glowing grove. There were no people, only spirits. Their forms were mist and moonlight. Some floated, others crawled. All of them bartered. One spirit poured laughter into a bowl and traded it for a memory of childbirth. Another gave away a heartbeat in exchange for a name. And at the center stood an old woman, tall, cloaked in feathers, eyes like molten gold. She saw Ifunanya and frowned. "Mortal child," the woman hissed. "Why have you come?" "I seek the talking skull," said Ifunanya. Gasps. Silent, spiritual gasps. The spirits all turned to her. The woman stepped forward. "It is not a thing to be sought. If you hear its voice, it already owns part of you. Then perhaps I belong to it." The spirit woman leaned close. "No, it belongs to you." Suddenly, the market vanished. The forest returned, and at her feet lay the skull. Ifunanya stared at the skull lying before her. It looked ancient, cracked and yellowing, with dried earth stuck in its sockets. And yet, its presence felt alive. No mistaking it. This was the thing from her dreams. Slowly, she reached out and touched it. "Finally," it said, not in words that came through the air. No, it spoke inside her, a voice that echoed through her soul. Ancient, male, painful. She staggered back, heart pounding. You are real. You answer my call. That means you are ready." Ready for what? "To carry me." A strange wind blew through the trees, but none of the leaves moved. The forest bent to listen. "I was once a prince," the skull continued, "betrayed and cursed to wander as bone. Only one with blood brave enough, foolish enough, could free me. You want me to carry you?" "Yes." "On your back, until I am buried properly, or you will never find your way out." Ifunanya hesitated, but in her heart, something stirred, a thread tugged by destiny. So, she wrapped the skull in her shawl, slung it behind her, and turned around to leave. That's when the path reappeared. That's when the skull began to laugh. Back at the village, panic had erupted. Chief Obi stood beneath the Irako tree, fists clenched. "My daughter has entered the forest," he growled. "Summon the seers. Prepare the drums. If the talking skull has awakened, Oru is in danger." 3 days passed, and on the 4th, Ifunanya returned. She walked out of the forest with eyes like coals and silence trailing behind her. The villagers gathered, staring in awe. Children cried. Dogs refused to bark. On her back, wrapped in cloth, was the skull. "Witch," whispered one. "Cursed," said another. But Ifunanya said nothing. She went straight to her father. Chief Obi stared at her, his face unreadable. "You went where you were forbidden." "Because I had to," she replied. "And now you carry a curse." "I carry a soul." He turned away, but her mother, Adiz, ran toward her, not to embrace her, but to kneel. "Oh Allah," she wept. "Forgive us. Forgive what we've buried." And from that day forward, the skull would not let her rest. At night, Ifunanya dreamed of fire, cities burning, skulls rolling, a voice calling her name again and again, always from the darkness. In the day, she heard whispers, not from the skull, but from people. Women covered their children's eyes when she passed. The elders refused to eat at the same fire. Her father stopped summoning her to council. Still, she bore the skull. She washed it daily, fed it herbs, prayed for its peace. But it was not enough. "I need more," the skull said one night. "More what?" "Memory." "Whose?" "Yours." The next morning, Ifunanya could not remember her mother's lullaby. Then the names of old songs vanished. Soon, she forgot the taste of yam, the smell of wet clay, even her first love's face. Each night the skull grew brighter, clearer, and each day she grew weaker. Her aunt, Igioma, watched her from a distance. Then one day she approached. "Child," she said, "I once saw a girl like you many rains ago. She too carried a skull. She too grew pale. She vanished before the harmattan. What happened to her?" Ifunanya asked. "She went to the river Oracle and was never seen again." The river Onwu was no ordinary water. It flowed backward once a year and glowed under moonlight. Spirits bathed there. Ancestors whispered through its currents. Ifunanya knelt by its bank, the skull beside her. "I seek the one who sees all." The river stirred. Bubbles surfaced. Then a figure emerged, not walking but floating. An old man, white-bearded, skin like flowing bark, with eyes too wide and teeth too few. "You have come too late," he said. "I carry a cursed prince. You carry a choice." He dipped his staff into the water. Ripples formed, images danced. She saw the prince as a man. Proud, full. He waged war for land, burned villages, spilled innocent blood. He was cursed not by a witch, said the oracle, but by his victims, until a woman of royal blood agreed to carry him back to his resting place. "So, I am the price of his redemption? You are the key. And if I fail, then Oru will become like the land he burned, forgotten. What must I do?" "You must enter the land of bones. You must return him home." "Where is home?" The oracle pointed upstream, beyond the waterfall, where no heart returns unchanged. Ifunanya turned to leave. "Child," the oracle called out, "when the time comes, you must choose, his peace or yours." Before Ifunanya could set out toward the waterfall and the land of bones, her mother called her to the sacred hut where only ancestors' secrets were spoken. The room smelled of bitter leaf and ash. Shadows danced against the mud walls. Adiz, her mother, sat on a mat, tears clinging to her lashes. "Before you go," she whispered, "you must know who you are." "I know," Ifunanya replied. "I am your daughter. I am Orus Hope." "No," said Adiz. "You are his bargain." And then she told the truth. Ifunanya had not been born by blessing, but by pact. Years ago, Chief Obi and Adiz had lost 3 sons in childbirth. The gods were silent. The people murmured. In desperation, Adiz went to the edge of the forest of echoes. There, by the roots of a gnarled tree, she met a spirit cloaked in flies. "Give me a child," she begged. "Then give me a vessel," it replied. The spirit promised her a daughter, strong, beautiful, untouchable. But in return, she must one day carry the burden of a prince whose name had been erased from all scrolls. "She will be both curse and cure," the spirit said, "and she will never truly belong here." Adiz agreed, And thus, Ifunanya was born on the night of a crimson moon, with eyes open and a hand clenched around a stone. Ifunanya listened, her face pale. "So, I was never meant to stay?" she asked. "You were meant to save," her mother answered. "Save who?" "Everyone. We are home." Ifunanya journeyed to the waterfall, guided by the voice of the skull and the warnings of the oracle. The path grew narrow. The forest turned to stone. Mist clung to her like sorrow. She climbed cliffs, crossed rivers, and on the seventh night, she reached the falls. There, hidden behind a sheet of water, was a passage, dark, humming alive. She stepped through. Welcome to the land of bones. It was not hell, nor heaven. It was a memory. Mountains made of ribs. Trees with hands instead of leaves. Rivers of old blood that never dried. And there, at its heart, stood a palace made entirely of skulls, each with stories engraved in cracks and grooves. The skull on her back pulsed. A shadow formed before them. Massive, regal, armored in black sand. The Warden of Bones. "Why have you brought this cursed soul back?" the warden asked. "To redeem him." "Does he deserve it?" Ifunanya turned to the skull. "Do you?" There was silence. "Then, no." "Then why come?" "Because you chose me." The warden raised a bone scepter. "Then you must pass 3 tests." She was stripped of her weapons and placed before a lion made of flame. It roared, and fire rushed toward her. But she stood still. The fire circled her, sniffed her courage, then vanished. She passed. A mirror was placed before her. It showed her future, her death. Lonely, forgotten, childless. "Do you still choose to carry him?" asked the warden. "Yes," she whispered. She passed. A child was brought to her, her unborn son, a spirit yet to be. "Choose," said the warden, "him or the prince's soul. But he is not born yet, but he will be." She wept and chose the prince. The child vanished like mist in the wind. The warden nodded. "Then he may rest." The skull glowed. It rose from her back, levitated into the air, and began to spin. Bones from the ground rose up, forming a body. And before her stood the prince, alive again, young, regal and weeping. "You have done what no one dared," he said. "You gave me peace at the cost of your own future." "I didn't do it for you," she replied. "I did it for us." But peace never comes without war. Suddenly, the sky cracked. From the bones beneath the earth, the angry dead rose. Spirits who'd suffered under the prince. Warriors, mothers, children. "He must not rise," they screamed. "He does not deserve peace." Lightning ripped through the land of bones. The warden was pushed aside. Ifunanya raised her hands. "Then take me instead." The spirits paused. "Would you trade your soul for his?" "Yes." "Even though he caused this pain?" "Yes." The dead looked at her, and slowly, one by one, they bowed. "Then let your mercy speak for his sin." And they vanished. The prince fell to his knees. "I do not deserve this." "Then live like you do." A gate opened, and together they walked out of the land of bones. Oru had changed. The sky was darker. Crops had failed. The drums had gone silent. Then, on the 7th dawn, Ifunanya returned alone. The villagers gathered. "Where is the skull?" they asked. "Buried," she said. Her father stepped forward. "What have you brought back?" "Redemption." Chief Obi knelt. "Daughter, forgive us. We feared you. We judged too quickly." She touched his shoulder. "You feared what you never tried to understand." That day, the village mourned and danced. A festival was declared. The trees were replanted. The river blessed. The skull was honored, not for its power, but for the lesson it left behind. Years passed. Ifunanya never married, never bore children, but she became the wisest voice Oro had ever known. A warrior, a priestess, a bridge between the seen and unseen. Children gathered at her feet to hear her story. "They say the dead do not speak," she'd begin, "but I know better." The forest was no longer feared. A shrine was built at its heart, where the skull had once lain. Every year, the villagers walk there, in silence, offering thanks. They call it the Day of Whispering Bones. And if you ever visit the village of Ora, you may hear it too. A soft whisper, carried by the wind, calling your name. Come. They have lied to you. Your blood carries what they fear. Legends are not just echoes of the past. They are mirrors of who we are becoming. If Ifunanya's courage stirred something deep in you, a memory, a question, a fire, then don't let the story end here. Subscribe to our channel for more stories reimagined. Like, share, and leave a comment below. What would you have done if the skull called your name? This is only the beginning. The forest still whispers. Are you listening?